Have you ever like totally thought that you did a video and in your mind it's like all done and recorded, and then you go back into your YouTube and you realize you never actually recorded it? This happens to me all the time. I always think that like, oh yeah, I did Weigh In Wednesday, and oh, I did that review, and the thing is I just thought about it because, you know, as I'm walking around in my day, I'm just planning it in my mind, the things I want to share with you guys, and because in my mind I'm talking to you all the time. I thought I already did Weigh In Wednesday, and I only thought of it because I was like, that's funny, I haven't heard from anybody back on my Weigh In Wednesday. I kind of thought that how the week went would garner some comments. Well, then I guess you need to have a video to comment on, right? So, interesting. Weigh In Wednesday. I'm not even wearing the charm bracelet today. Charm's not even, nope. Here's what happened. And I knew this was going to happen, so I'm not like upset about it. I knew what I was doing. Scale, this weigh-in was up 2.2 pounds, which sounds like a lot, and it's a lot, but I happen to know it's temporary. Like I said, I knew what I was doing. I did not go off my plan at all last week. Actually, totally stayed on plan. Plenty of activity. I ate. I still had quite a few activity, or what do you call it? Fit points. I really got to get used to saying fit points. I had quite a lot of fit points still left over, and I didn't even touch my weeklies, I don't think. And so I know I stayed on plan. I'm not worried about that. What had happened was that, as I mentioned before, I had two parties over the weekend. And the first party was a kid's party, one of my son's one of his closest little friends. And it was at this pizza place that is like one of my favorite pizza places ever. And I know about this place that if I start eating the pizza, I have a really hard time stopping eating the pizza. So I actually have not had this place's, I'm not even going to tell you the name of the place. I haven't even had this place's pizza in maybe 3 years. 3 years. And just so you understand how hard that is, I walk by this place every day. Every day. But I managed to not have this pizza for 3 years. And I knew going into this party that I was not going to be able to not have the pizza. And I was literally sitting at the parents' table. I was sitting at the parents' table. You guys, so here's me. Here's pizza, pizza, pizza. 3 different kinds of pizza. And I ate before I went. So I wasn't out of control. And the pieces are really tiny. They're like that big. And they're thin crust. So it's not like it's so terrible. But as I've mentioned before, I have an allergy to certain wheat things. It doesn't seem to be gluten in general, because certain things I can have, no problem. But the two things that seriously affect me. Number one, pizza crust. Pizza crust, I know I'm going to have a reaction. So I knew having the pizza that I was going to have a physical reaction to having the pizza. And usually the first thing that happens is that the scale goes up 3 pounds. So that it only went up 2.2, I'm actually totally fine with, because I know it's temporary. It's just until this stuff gets out of my system. And usually beyond that, I get poor sleep, which I also got that night, terrible sleep. But for me, I was lucky that's all that happened. So usually I get scale goes up 3 pounds, no sleep, nausea, and sometimes migraine. So I didn't get those two symptoms. But the scale did go up, and I did not sleep well. But I knew that when I had the pizza, but I was like, I haven't had this pizza in so long, and it's so good. And all right, so the scale's going to go up this week. Fine. Because pizza is the number one thing. Pizza crust is the number one thing that I seem to have a reaction to. Number 2 thing that I have a reaction to is any kind of cake. And the next day after the pizza place was my little niece's 3rd birthday. And my sister-in-law, her mom, made homemade cupcakes. And again, they were tiny. They weren't like huge, and they didn't have gobs of frosting. They were very nicely sized. They weren't the mini ones, but they weren't even the regular size one. And they had just like a little smear of frosting. So not a crazy number of points, but again, not like, especially not something I should have right after the day, like within hours of having pizza. So I know that the reason that the scale is up is simply that I have like probably some inflammation going on. I know this is totally stupid, but I made the decision. I knew what I was doing. It's not something I would recommend to any of you. Please learn from my mistakes. But I know that that's why the scale went up, because I know that I stayed on plan. I tracked the cupcake, I tracked the pizza, I tracked everything. I didn't have any alcohol. It was fine. So I know that, and even now I'm so puffy. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so puffy. And I don't have a migraine, but I am a little headachy. I'm not going to lie. I am definitely paying the price. In my situation, I decided that was going to be worth it. But I got to be honest, now that it's been a couple of days, I'm wondering if that's actually the case. Not even the scale aside, I don't even care about the scale. It's like having a hangover. It really is. And so anyway, that's why the scale is up this week. So, this week going forward, I am going to just make sure I stay really away from as much wheat as I can possibly avoid. Really going to stay away from it. You know, even if it's stuff that doesn't normally bother me, I don't need to be irritating my system anymore. Making sure I get plenty of water, plenty of vegetables. Fruit's never a problem. I always get lots of fruit, but I want to make sure I get lots and lots and lots of vegetables in. So that's my plan for this week. I don't have any social things coming up. I don't even have plans to eat out this week at all. So it should be pretty easy for me to stay on track. So we'll see what the scale says next week. I'm wondering if any of this weight is going to stick around. I don't know. We'll see. It might, but I think probably it won't. If I'm really good about trying to flush it all out with water, lots of water and vegetables, I think I should be okay. As long as I avoid salt. That's the other thing, right? And oh my gosh, this pizza was so salty, you guys. The place where I'm talking about it's a Chicago style pizza place. And they do that deep dish, which I'm not crazy about, but they do this thin crust pizza that is it's so good. And they had one pizza, talk about salt. It was pepperoni with, what do they call that? Italian beef, I think they call it. It's like shredded, super, 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 super extra salty beef. And it's just a salt. But I might as well have just taken the salt shaker, just like, wow, because it was so salty. But it was so good. And how could I sit there with it was literally in my face on all three sides. There was no way. There was just no way I was not going to, yeah. So anyway, that's where we are. How are all of you? Don't forget to give me your questions. I think some of you guys asked me questions in the last video and then I just went and answered them in the comments. And then later I was like, oh, duh, they're asking me questions for the video that I said I was going to do where I'm going to answer your questions. But I will. Go ahead and ask. Go ahead and ask. Ask me whatever you want. What possessed me to eat the pizza? Go ahead and ask me. I'll figure out an answer. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. Now it's Thursday. The weekend's looming. Have a great weekend, everybody. And I will be back very soon. Take care. Bye.